that predates the first Donkey Kong, Mario, and Legend of Zelda games. One would be Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons was created in 1974 by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. This makes it over 41 years old. Any game that lasts over 41 years and sells 250,000 units in the first 4 years has to be flexible and awesome. There have been Dungeons & Dragons video games, movies, podcasts, books, and virtually all media types. There's even a Dungeons & Dragons magazine with adventures in it and articles on the current storyline. Now, I'm assuming all of you have acted or played pretend games before, and Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing game where you assume the personality of the character you create and accomplish feats impossible to the world here, and almost completely impossible to the ones in those worlds. As Ethan Gilsdorf said on Psychology Today, for me, RPGs like D&D were empowering, exciting, and a clever antidote to the anonymity, monotony, and clique warfare of high school. In Dungeons & Dragons, the average person would have stats being strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, at around a 10, or lower. But the average adventurer, even at level 1, would have stats ranging from 8 being the lowest to 20 being the highest possible at level 1. I have been playing Dungeons & Dragons since I was 8 years old. I played 3 of the 5 editions, 2nd, 4th, and 5th, and recently I have started to control the games as the Dungeon Master, who is the narrator, rule judge, and controls many aspects of the game. Now today, I will give a watered-down version of how to create a character in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Now the first step would be to gather the things we need to do this, and you will need to start with a 5th edition player's handbook, like such, a character sheet, which could be a blank piece of paper, but that gets muddled and messed up, a pencil, and I would refer that no pen, because there's a lot of erasing, and after that you can delve into the actual creation of the character, and the first step to creating the actual character would be to choose which race you want to be. You can choose from, in the current player's handbook, an elf, half-elf, gnome, halfling, half-orc, dragonborn, tiefling, dwarf, and of course a human. For today, we will choose a dwarf, and you can choose between a subset of those races as well, sort of different areas where they live. Each give different bonuses along with overall racial abilities. Now, we will choose a specific mountain dwarf for our purposes, and you will write that down right there, and that would be what a dwarf would look like, typically. And now we choose the ever-important class. And the next step is choose which class you want to be. You can choose from a barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, and paladin, and the class is a sort of specialization for the characters. And there's a list in the book right here that shows all of them and gives a brief description of them. For our mountain dwarf, we will choose a paladin, and paladins are holy warriors who take oaths to their churches and gods and serve whatever they want them to do, and there are a whole lot of gods to choose from and churches to serve in this game. Now, the characters need stats to function, so this leads us on to that. After that, you get your stats lined out for this character. For a paladin, the main stats will be charisma and strength. Charisma is leadership abilities, sort of intimidation, or on this list, deception, performance, persuasion, those kind of stats. Strength would be how hard you hit, if you push someone, athletics, jumping. For the book gives 3 different ways essentially how to choose your stats. It gives you can roll your stats, you can choose from a preset amount, and you have ability points you can spend for stats. For today we will use the point system, so we have 27 points to spend. We take 3 14s, which are 7 each, that adds up to 21, and 3 10s each, which are 2 each, and that adds up to 6. It's a 27 total, and you will put that in which ones you see fit, like we have right here. Now the character still needs the tools to function for his job, sort of. Now, for this, the player's handbook gives a simple either-or list right where it says equipment, and you just pick For Paladin, it says a martial weapon and a shield, 2 martial weapons. A martial weapon would be like a long sword or a great axe. 5 javelins or any simple melee weapon. A simple melee weapon would be like a club or like a hand axe. A priest pack or an explorer's pack, which each hold different pieces and components for spells and whatnot. And chainmail and a holy symbol. Chainmail being the armor and a holy symbol being sort of like their cross for whatever god they have. And no character can come to life without the specifics for that character. And the specifics being height, weight, eyes, hair, a background. You must choose an alignment because that describes to other characters and the person who's running the game how good your character is, or evil, or neutral, and sort of what their morals are. Now, after you get all of this lined out and filled out, you can gather a group and start playing. And today, I showed all of you what materials are needed, how to start a character, what you need to do to create a finished character. And after all this, after gathering a group, you can begin playing and using maps and minis like such.